Okay, good to see everyone this Saturday afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. Before I get started, though, I want to start off with something that's kind of dear to my heart, and that's the family of Kenny Moats. And growing up in a law enforcement household, I understand what it is every day and what the job entails, and everyone that's out there protecting our communities. And that's something that's very, very close to me, and it's hit home. And I want them to know that they're in my personal thoughts and prayers for them. Also noted that we're excited about wearing a commemorative sticker on the back of our helmet to honor the late Pat Summitt. We all know everything what she stands for, and I think it's very fitting that Tennessee football and Team 120 recognize her and everything that she means to the University of Tennessee and the great state of Tennessee and for sports in general. Also excited, Chad Clifton will be our legend of the game, and as we all know, Chad was just recently inducted into the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, and really had an opportunity to spend some quality time with him this summer. And you look at his accomplishments also from Martin, Tennessee, and it's another illustration of a great player staying at home, representing his home state, his in-state institution, and he's evolved for life, and very, very excited to see him again. Also, one more final note is at 6:30 on Wednesday night. We're excited that we will have a pep rally outside gate 21A. One of our traditions here is we always bring our football team into historic Neyland Stadium to kind of set the temperament before we head over to the hotel. And so our student bodies requested a pep rally, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone out there at this time. Now getting into game week. Last week we spoke about being game ready. We continue to be work in progress that way. I'm very, very anxious to see how our football team responds with a couple days off. See how far they've come with their legs and recovery. So today is a big day. It's a Monday in football terms, but for us, it's a great work week, start to the work week, and we have to make sure we're ready to go. So I'm kind of anxious to see our approach today, see our leadership, and see the excitement. I know there's an excitement in the air right now, and college football got off to a start last night, and everyone's excited, everyone's optimistic, and for the first time Thursday night we'll put our initial football identity on video, and we're responsible for what we create, so we're looking forward to that. Playing a great quality opponent in App State, 11-2 last year, have won 17 out of their last 19 contests. Their players know what it takes to win. Coach Satterfield has done a tremendous job. We have a lot of similarities in terms of effort. They're a high-effort football team. They play with great effort. They're very, very disruptive. Number one red zone defense in the country last year. They like to run the football, 4,000-yard rusher. They have both preseason conference players of the year on offense and defense, so it's going to be a great challenge for us. And as we all know, first games are the game of the unknowns. From tendencies to new players, and you have to have the ability to adapt and adjust throughout the course of a game. There may be new schemes that you haven't seen or prepared for, so you have to rely on your training and you have to rely on communication. So it's going to be a good test for our football team. I know we're excited to play, but before you can play, you have to make sure you're game ready, and you go through this phase right now of investing in victory each and every week. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
From last season to coming into the first game this season, who or what has improved the most?
Well, I'm anxious to see that. We've worked exceptionally hard on our downfield passing game, on the accuracy, in the just being more efficient with the throw game. And a lot of that stems from the perimeter, it stems from the tight ends, it extends from involving the running backs. I'm very anxious to see how we tackle, how we play in space. When you look at all the games And you'll see a lot of the first games, tackling obviously will be at a premium. And we have to do a great job of working to take the ball away, all the things that we've stressed throughout the season. And it'll be a process. You continually get better week in and week out. But I want to see our tackling, our aggressiveness on defense, our overall communication, continue to improve our special teams, big plays across the board. That's something that we stress all year. But just being a fundamentally sound, detailed football team. And again, we're really starting our personality of this team. So I'll know a little bit more where we're at with all those improvements we set forth Thursday evening.
Steve and then Mike.
Just wondering what you think is the biggest way you've changed, adjusted, or adapted as a coach since taking over this program, and if having more of a veteran team this year, if that's played into that at all.
I've never really thought about that question before. I think you're always constantly adapting, adjusting, always improving. That's something that we talk about in our football program is constant, never-ending improvement. I think, like I spoke earlier, each team is different. Each team has a different personality. Each team has different leadership characteristics. So I think what's helped is I think our coaches and myself, we know our football team a little bit more. Growing up as a son of a chief of police, I've been interested in studying human behavior all my life, so I love to get in their mindsets. I love to see what this football team needs, and I take great pride in that. But I think you're constantly evolving. If you don't, that's when you stop growing, and you have to constantly evolve each and every day. It's just like, how are you different as a reporter from today to yesterday? And are you asking the same questions, or you have different questions? It's all those things that go into play with it of constant, never-ending improvement. And you have to hold yourself accountable before you can hold anyone else accountable. And I was just joking on it. I just wanted to see you smile a little bit.
Mike Strange and then Rob and Wes.
Butch, we were talking to Coach Satterfield this morning, and inevitably the 2007, I think it was, Michigan game came up. He said that kind of hurts them over the years because every coach, every time they play a team like Tennessee, and he said he's sure that you brought that up to get your team's attention, and nobody's ever going to overlook them again. I wanted your thoughts on that. And part two, I'm sure that game sent a ripple through the coaching fraternity. I'm not sure where you were in 2007, but
97. You're 10 years behind the time. That was 1997, correct? 2007? 2007. I'm 10 years behind the time. It's hard to. I was first-year head coach at Central Michigan, and that's exactly right. And I remember that very, very vividly, And I think the other thing that I can relate to Coach Satterfield, because it makes you appreciate that more, because I've been on that other side. I've been at Central Michigan. I understand what it was like to prepare your team. And, we had the mindset that we were going in to win the game just like they are. And they're a fine, fine football team, a very good football team. All you have to do is watch them on video. And they have the respect of our players and our coaching staff. And, again, they're very, very talented across the board, and they expect to win, and they're coming in here with the mentality of winning the football game. But I think it helps when you've coached at a Central Michigan. You understand what it is to go on the road and do those types of things. But, again, all you have to do is put the video on, and they garner your attention immediately.
Coach, you guys have done a lot of cross-training on the offensive line in camp. How have you always done that, and what's the impact of your depth, or has it been kind of influenced by just having so many veterans that you feel comfortable flipping around?
We've always done that. That's kind of been a philosophy, just because it's a long football season and injuries are going to occur, and the nature and the makeup of that position group is very, very important. So as many individuals, first and foremost, as you can have snap the ball at the center position is very, very important. Obviously tackles, but just being able to get your best five on the football field all the time through injuries or what have you really lends itself to having that versatility to be able to do that. And to all of our players' credit, they embrace that. They've done a great job with that.
Wes and then Grant and then Mike Griffith.
Butch, I know that obviously, this is a game of an unknown. You have a new coordinator. There's some freshmen out there, but is there still a little bit of less of an unknown with this team this year, just because of, at least from a competition or competitive spirit standpoint, with, I guess, 18 of 22 starters or whatever it is returning?
I don't think so. We have some individuals that have proven themselves over time, but you never take any of those things for granted with your style of play, with the mentality, how you prepare, how you invest in victory, how you take care of your body. All those things, you get the required amount of sleep. Again, you sacrifice throughout the course of a long season. What are you willing to give up? All those things. So I don't think you take anything for granted. So we always start from ground zero with that approach and that mentality. But it is nice to have individuals that have proven themselves over time to be able to prepare themselves to play winning football. But, again, we're going to play a lot of true freshmen. And you can never take anything for granted, and it gets back to this being the greatest team sport there is. In 1 out of 11, you can have 10 individuals do the right thing, and the 11th individual have a missed assignment or a mental bust, and all of a sudden it exposes you for a big football play, and those are the things that can cost you football games. So again, even though we have individuals that have that experience, we're also going to have individuals on the field at the same time that don't have that valuable experience. So you can never take those things for granted.
Which Scott Satterfield said this morning on the teleconference that you guys are farther along over here than Clemson was this time last year. They opened with Clemson. Do you kind of cringe when you hear that kind of quote, because it's going to turn into a comparison and get a lot of attention between you guys and Clemson?
Well, I know you guys will have a lot of fun with that quote. So probably got your Saturday morning started off excitingly, or however you want to say it. But, I haven't even thought that. I haven't even looked at that. I've been so consumed with video and getting our team ready to play mentally and physically. And, App State and their video and everything that they do, they do some things schematically that really challenge your systems. So all of our effort, all of our energy has been in that.
Mike Griffith, and then Paul, Patrick, and Steve.
Just kind of an overview question here. Reflecting back on the 2014 signing class, talking with TK and Barnett, you were coming off like a 4-7 season. How did you manage to get the best players to stay in state? And when you look back on that, what were some of the keys to what really appears to be a cornerstone recruiting class?
Good question. I think first and foremost, relationships. We're in a people business. Everything is based on trust. It's based on relationships. It's based on our family environment. But also, those are great, great competitive kids at the time that wanted that onus on them, that wanted that opportunity to be able to get Tennessee football back to relevance. And I continue to say it, and they see it now. You can sell it in recruiting, but until you really attend the University of Tennessee, you really don't see it or feel it until you're here. And then obviously you feel it even more so when you graduate from this place. This is a special state, and Vol for Life means everything. And for these individuals to really take a leap of faith of us coming off the season, but understanding what the University of Tennessee means and what it's all about, I'm forever indebted to them, because they have been one of the many bricks that have helped lay the foundation and the sustained success that we're going to have in our football program.
Paul, Patrick, and Steve.
Which shot totals and second on the depth chart, he's back on his number than Stone, but how impressed you been with this, progression from the first day when it looked like he was looking around to be able to help you guys out?
Been very impressed. It's a challenge for a young man when you're having a great year and your season is taken from you. And he's kept a positive mindset. He's worked extremely hard, been very diligent in the strength and conditioning area of working on his conditioning levels, but also in the training room as well with Jason McVay and all of our trainers and doctors. And he's always had a smile on his face. He's always worked exceptionally hard. And he's done a great job. And I think really the thing that was exciting the other day is we were doing cut blocking drills. And I kind of cringed a little bit, but knew we had to find out if he was getting close to game ready and how he played the cut blocks, and he did a good job that way. But again, just been very proud of him because he's had a consistent approach and he's had a great attitude and a great mental frame of mind. And when you're battling back from injuries, half that battle is having a good inner peace about yourself, and he's been able to do that.
Patrick, right here in front, Steve, and then Danny, Bryce, and Hubs.
Butch, Coach Shoup has talked really going back to the spring about wanting to play more guys or wanting to play as many guys that deserve to play. I guess how much more comfortable do you feel defensively about your ability to play maybe a rotation at some spots without much of a drop-off as maybe compared to last year when it seemed like a lot of your guys played and hardly ever came off the field?
Well, you bring up a great point in terms of we can't have no drop-off. We want to play as many players as we possibly can, offense, defense, special teams. I think that helps the morale of a team. Like I told our football team a couple days ago, everyone's job is important, and you need to embrace your role and excel in your role. And everyone in that meeting room is very, very important to Team 120, whatever your role is. Now go excel in it. But if we can have as many players possible play, that helps. It's a long football season, but also they have to earn the trust. And like I told our football team, first and foremost, that trust is earned by your teammates. When you practice, you're putting your football identity on video. When our players sit in those position meetings and they watch practice, you're also earning their trust because they're watching you. And then obviously you're earning the trust of the coaches as well to put you in the game. And our players have done a very, very good job with that. They've been very, very goal-oriented. Every time they walk into a team meeting, I'll ask individuals, what's your plan for the day? What's your plan of attack? Give me one thing you're going to improve today. So they've done a good job with that. But I do think it's critical for the continued evolution of this football team that we play a number of individuals.
We're going to finish up with Steve, Danny, Bryce, and Hubs.
First, just Drew Richmond, how did he grow over the last year from that redshirt year to enable him to be where he is at this point? And also, I'd spoken to a couple players who said that they think you're a little more positive this year now that the culture has been instilled. Would you agree with that in terms of just the way your interaction with the players or not?
Well, first of all, with Drew Richmond, he's come a long way. He's worked very, very hard, and I know initially that redshirt year was very, very difficult for him. But I think now he realizes that was a necessity. He's night and day from where he was last year, but there's still so much constant growth and improvement that he needs to make each and every day, and he understands that. But Drew has worked very, very hard. He's worked in the strength and conditioning room. He's worked on finishing plays, and it's important to him. I'll get text messages from him, what did you think about this, or what did you think about that? So I'm proud of him. He's come a long way, but he still has a long ways to go, and he knows that. For him, that constant growth and development throughout the course of the season is going to be very, very big for him. It's going to be imperative. But not just him, but for our entire football team. In terms of positivity, I trust these guys. I know them, and I care about them greatly, and they've also earned my trust. And I have great, great confidence in them. The hardest thing when you take over a football program is you have to make sure that you lay that standard of expectations day in and day out, and you do not compromise from those standards of expectations. The culture has to be set in place. So, sometimes you're going to be a little bit different the first couple years because of you have to make sure that there's some things that, are non-negotiables in our football program. And they have to understand that each and every day. I think the other thing that was difficult coming here is we had to rely on a lot of true freshmen. And how many individuals are truly ready at 17 years old to compete at a high level at the University of Tennessee against juniors and seniors in the best football conference in America. So you have to make sure that they have that mindset, that mentality. And so, again, I think each year is different in what your team needs. But I trust our team and I believe in our team, just like every team I've coached. But when you have more veteran players, your approach may be a little bit different. But I do know this. I would like to think they know how much I care about them. And it's been great because, we always talk about it's better to be a player-coach team than a coach-coach team. And sometimes I don't even have to say anything on the practice field. There's older players that beat me to that opportunity to correct. Whether it's effort, whether it's a fundamental, whether it's a detail, whether it's situational football. And to me, that's been evidence of growth in a football program.
Danny, Bryce, and Butch.
Coach, first of all, back here,
Hey, Danny.
how many receivers do you trust at this point? I know Zani mentioned about 5 guys the other day. And secondly, given that fact that so many true freshmen may have to play at that position, will we see Alvin Kamara's role expand a little bit this year? He got about 150 touches between the throw game, run game, and punt returns last year.
You'll see some things with Alvin. As we all know, Alvin's a dynamic player. He's a great player in space, but also he can get the tough yards from tackle to tackle. So you'll see some different nuances with him as the season continues to progress. Our wide receiver core continues to be work in progress, and I think that's going to happen when you're relatively young there. We're very, very youthful. So we need more bodies. Everywhere I've been, you want to be about 8 to 10 deep at the wide receiver position. When you play the type of offensive style that we play, when you have the demands and rigors of a position group, such as the wide receivers from, the different types of routes that we run down the field, vertically, horizontally, also in the run game of blocking and all the different things of being a complete wide receiver, you have to have more numbers there. But I do see all the players getting better. And again, I think that, for us to be successful throughout a long period of time is that position group has to continue to evolve and improve, and I see that right now.
John Bryce and Brent Hubbs.
Coach, a couple of depth chart questions here. I guess on the offensive line, it's got Coleman as backup right tackle to Kendrick, and then Wiseman as backup center to Coleman. So is that maybe a reflection that you're still not where you need to be up front in terms of both developing the depth that you want and having the trust in those guys? And then I guess part 2 would be Kongbo and LaTroy as your backup ends, and what they do to earn those spots, and then where do Kyle Phillips and Darrell Taylor fall in that?
We'll continue to, evaluate the offensive line. And, again, these are developmental positions. And like I said earlier, football is a developmental sport. And we have to keep that in mind, especially in the line of scrimmage game, in the offensive and defensive lines. But we do need to continue to develop depth at the offensive line position. You always have to. But I just think, there may be some individuals that maybe quite aren't game ready right now, game 1, but we continue to work and progress and work, and they may be game ready by game 3, game 4, game 5. And again, it's that developmental process. Plus, App State throws so many different defensive fronts and movements and blitz games that we got to make sure that we're ready to go from that standpoint. But, you'll see individuals that maybe not play early in the year that I think will develop where they're helping us win at the end of the year. That's just the developmental part of that position. But I've been pleased with that entire group. I really have. I think they've had a very, very good camp. In terms of LaTroy Lewis and Jonathan Combo, those two have worked very, very hard. So again, I look at it, I don't look at it again as depth charts. I look at it as organizational charts. And I think so much is who's out there at the beginning of the game. I think it's more telling of who's out there when the game's on the line and who's out there in critical situations. Excited about Kyle Phillips. I think Kyle has continued to grow and develop. He's been set back a little bit with some nagging injuries, but getting him back, and he's going to practice today, I think will really help in his development. Darrell Taylor is another young man who continues to grow and develop. So I've been excited about the progression of those two. Obviously, LaTroy, Combo, which you just spoke about. So it's that's a position right now heading into the season that we're very, very deep, and I trust all those guys.
Finish up with Brent Hubbs.
Butch, when you talk about the game of unknown,
I think, the other thing I think is getting Andrew Butcher back. We've moved him inside the defensive tackle. So we're trying to take advantage of some of his natural skill sets and quickness and quick twitch. So I think having him back has really helped that group as well. Sorry to.
You talk about it being a game of unknowns. You have a new coordinator. For the first game, the first few weeks, how big of an advantage is that for you guys that maybe people don't have a beat on what you want to do defensively? And the second part, can you just elaborate maybe on where Alexis is in terms of what you've limitedly seen in a few days on the practice field with him?
Sure. You know, having a new coordinator at times, you know, in terms of breakdowns and all that, I kind of think that's overrated. You know, everyone's going to go back and they're going to look at what he's done at his previous stops. We've had to go through that in a number of years as well. But I think it's being able to fit the system and tailor the system to the current team that you have and the current players. I think that's more important. So again, you know, it's really adapting and adjusting your schemes to the talents and the skill sets of your current team and your players. And I think Coach Shoup has done a remarkable job with that. We're also doing things that he's never done before. And again, I think that's because of some of the depth things that we're able to do as well. So, you know, sometimes I think that's kind of overrated. You know, people have a DNA, they have a thumbprint. They have a fingerprint. They know what they're going to do at times. But the great thing is we've been able to adapt and adjust and put in the Tennessee defensive system, which has been great to see. And then what was your last question? Alexis continues to progress. Again, he's continuing to be acclimated to our football program, the standards and expectations, but he's done a very good job in moving forward. And when we're constantly evaluating his conditioning levels and everything in terms of that, but he's done a very good job of that so far.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys, have a good day.